Do you need expensive equipment for getting good results in home recording? I wondered this myself for over a decade. It's even a topic we discuss often at school. Therefore, I decided to throw my own thoughts and experiences out there by sharing this video with you. Let me start by saying that in my opinion, there is only one device that quote-unquote needs to be expensive in your recording arsenal, and that's your Workstation PC. It is best to have a computer with 6 to 8 cores and 16 to 32 gigs of RAM with a large solid-state hard drive. Sure, this computer could end up costing around $1,000, but I've found you can get a decent build for around $500 through CyberPower's pre-builds on Amazon. I purchased a CyberPower PC pre-build for $600, and it's been my best PC so far. It has an AMD Ryzen 7 processor, which is 8-core and excellent for home recording. It came with 8 gigs of RAM, but I scored two 16-gig sticks for $100 on Amazon. So my computer's around $700 and does everything I need it to do. But you can be savvy and make it work. Just have a good computer. It makes a big difference. Okay, now, for everything else, I've learned that expensive can actually be convoluted and get in your way. Learning how to get pro quality out of cheaper equipment makes you a much better engineer than someone who can get acceptable quality out of pro equipment. So, let's start. Guitar. As long as you have a guitar that stays in tune and the intonation being the tuning through the fretboard is good, as long as it can stay in tune, then you're okay. The pickups, as long as they work, they can be EQ'd and gated. If there's any, problematic noise, noise suppression and EQ can help so much. Like it's baffling how much EQ can fix things in a mix. Now I know that might not be the most desired method, the garbage in, garbage out nonsense, but I mean, in a lot of cases that's really true, but you will get better at mixing if you can make poor things sound better. So there's no problem with doing that, okay? Now, for a recording interface, if you're not recording drums, you only need 1 or 2 channels. Don't be enticed by big rack gear and large consoles. Be enticed by learning how to get great sounds from cheap gear. This will grow your abilities instead of growing your quote-unquote selfish desires in a way. For me, after having Digio 3 consoles and 16-channel interfaces with ADAT to other interfaces, I found that the PreSonus Audio Box 22 VSL is my absolute favorite interface, which I find hilarious because it's a really inexpensive 2-channel, box interface, desktop box interface. And I've used $1,000 plus Apollos, and really the audio box and, for example, the Scarlett 2i2 are my favorite. They're easy to carry, they get the job done, they have wonderful preamps, so they sound great. So you don't need, unless you're recording a lot of instruments at once, you don't need big rack gear and consoles and a lot of channels. Now, big topic, modelers and amplifiers. After many years of myself trying expensive amps and mics and different, amp modelers, I've come to find that really DI is easiest and best. If you can get a good DI recording, then you can use even in-the-box VST plugins like ToneForge by JST or the Nameless Suite by Fortin Amps. All you need is an interface. You plug your guitar into the interface, record that DI track, and then add some digital amp modeler plugins on top of your track and have fun. It's even easier to tweak. Me personally, I use a Headrush pedal board. It's amazing. For me, it helps with simplicity and live capability. But I just recently watched a video where someone got an amazing tone from just a DI box and an Eddie Van Halen 5150 pedal, which is like $200, $300. So, There are miraculous things you can do in this digital age with recording without buying the best gear and a, $2,000 amplifier. So for your digital audio workstation and plugins for your recording software, there's plenty out there, and most of them are very expensive. But really, for example, Reaper is only $60 for its personal use license, and it has so many VST plugins for mixing and mastering that come with it. Many people do videos on how good they are. I even use some of those Reaper plugins in other DAWs such as Ableton. Me personally, I use Ableton and Pro Tools because that's what I use in school and I'm very familiar with. I also use some of the Slate stuff and some of the Wave stuff, but really at the end of the day, the stock plugins in Reaper do this primarily the same thing. So keyboards and synth. Really any MIDI keyboard will do. You don't need thousands of dollars on analog synths. This is something that I chased for years. Now I find that a lot of analog synth sounds have been recreated and released very inexpensively or even free, like the Korg Legacy Collection, for example. Most keyboards these days are done with companies like East West Studios, which is only a cheap monthly payment for literally tens of thousands of sounds that range from choir to, orchestral to digital synth to atmospheric movie stuff. I mean, it's just amazing what you get for, I think it's $25 a month. Me, for a keyboard, I use an Oxygen 49 second gen that I bought for $70 used, and I can run any plugins through it, and it sounds great. Does the job. So microphones, another big topic, something you can find a lot of information on elsewhere. But really, you can use any microphone for screams, dynamic or condenser. Just trust your ears. I know that takes time and development, but just trust your ears. I know I'll probably get bashed for this because most people use dynamics, but I spent $3. I spent $3,000 trying to find the perfect microphone for screams and singing, and I found that I liked the quite cheap Rode NT1A over even like $1,000 Newmans and the famous Shure SM7B, which is like $400. So many people say to only use dynamics for screams, and this is commonly the case. But you can pick up like an SM57 or an SM58 for, $100 or less, so that works great. Honestly, I've had great results from condenser microphones using, with screams. And if that's what you have to work with, use it. Like I said, if you can tweak your mix, you will be a better engineer. Okay, monitors. First of all, let me say what you've probably heard before: don't mix on headphones. It's just not a clear reflection of what you're going to hear in a spatial room. Now, let me say, rather than spending $2,000 on monitors, I recommend this handy trick that works for me. Buy a cheaper pair of monitors like JBL 305Bs or some Tannoy Reveals, something pretty affordable, and then spend another $20 to $50 on different home listening devices such as headphones, little Bluetooth speakers, auxiliary cable speakers of different sizes, anything that people are pretty much going to listen to your music on. You can actually hear what these listeners hear by doing this. You can mix on the monitors and then compare and reflect what is happening on the smaller devices. So remember, though, when you're setting up your monitors, make sure they're not right against the wall and they have room to breathe on all sides, but there's more information on that elsewhere. So headphones, as I mentioned before, it's not good to mix on headphones, in the opinion of many professional engineers. Therefore, you only need some decent headphones for recording. I've used literally dozens of headphones over the years and have had the best luck with my very inexpensive Tascam TH200X headphones, which I actually like better than the Bayer Dynamic Pros that I owned in the past. Now, drums. I use Superior Drummer and Easy Drummer because I absolutely love Toontrack's products. And honestly, I fell into the trap that they were the only one worth using. Although I'm a die-hard Toontrack user, there are great free plugins for programming drums out there, such as Hydrogen and MT Power, which work in a very similar manner. You could also go the long route and download one-offs from free sound websites and build like a MIDI drum set that you could click in the notes or play on your MIDI keyboard or MIDI pad. Okay, this is a big one because it really affected me. Your desk. Any desk will do, as long as it's comfortable and you can place your monitors in a good spot. That's all that matters. I was under the impression for the longest time that you needed a beautiful studio desk to be a professional. And while it looks mighty nice and, can make things easier, it's not necessary. So these are just my thoughts, my quick gathered thoughts on this topic. I have learned that the keep it simple stupid with audio production can take you a really, really long way. And maybe dialing in some of the simple in recording can bring out some of the not simple in your music composition. But that's my opinion. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something. I hope it helps you in building your studio.